Welcome back, Nikki here, and today my neighbor has brought over his, I don't know what it is, an Iper, and it's a pool robot. It's like a pool cleaning robot. It's called the Seagull SE. Is that the special edition? I don't know. And look at this, it is amazing. It has carbon fiber throughout. It is a carbon fiber pool robot cleaning thingy. I don't know what it is because I don't have a pool. I'm smart enough that I don't have a pool. I have a neighbor with a pool, so I don't ever have to deal with cleaning the pool. I maybe from time to time have to deal with cleaning the pool robot, but I'll deal with that. That's fine with me. So let's take a looky here and see what's going on with this dude. It's got a little battery charger. And I'm going to see if I can get plugged in somewhere in this packed outlet strip of strips. There we go. And it's got its own little funkadooly cord on it with kind of like some basic pins. It's got a bit of a smell to it, I have to say. It doesn't smell like burnt electronics, but it definitely smells a little bit plasticky. I don't know. And this is definitely not new. So maybe it smells like chlorine now that I mention it. The camera is not doing such a hot job on that. Those lights are on. There we go. So they're flashy for a bit, and then they will steady up. I'm not going to wait for that, but well, maybe I will wait for that. No, they do steady up, and they show that they're on, but nothing happens when you turn it on. The bulk of this thing, from what I understand, is it's really just a pump that sucks water in from the bottom and I think shoots it out the top here, and that jets it around the bottom of the pool, sucking up some stuff I don't know where into little screens that are in the base part that has no electronics, no sensing elements, nothing that I could see whatsoever in it, so I didn't bring it down to the shop. I think there is an accelerometer in it because he said when it hits the wall it reverses. So my thought, and I took a peeky here a little bit, and this is not an ultrasonically or orbitally welded casing, which would be irreversible. Once I broke it apart, I would have very little chance of putting it back together. There is, in fact, a rubbery gasket in here, so theoretically, we can take this apart and we can actually reverse that process and put it back together. Now that I'm not 12 anymore and I end up with more parts on the bench than I started with when I put something back together, I have a much better track record in my old age. So today is Nikki Does Pool Cleaner. I think it looks like 4 screws to get the motor unit out. We've got a whole bunch of data on the back here. I don't know that any of it is really relevant. It probably says no user serviceable parts inside, but the good thing is I'm not the user. So off we go. All right, let's see what this... I'm guessing the button and the LED are just transmitted up from the sealed unit into it here. And there is some kind of a connector doodly that's all wrapped up in here. I know this is... Okay. So there's a connector doodly that... Maybe that is the button assembly is up here. So I guess that's the first thing to check is going to be just to check the buttons. To make sure that this connector, it's got siliconio in there to keep it dry, but maybe the button isn't working. So I guess I could take apart some more out of here and see if there's a problem with the button. Here's there are 2 pumps, so it's directional. There are 2 pumps, and they both spin freely. There's some, we live in the South where there are a lot of pine trees, so there are pine needles in here. Pine straw, as we call it. I don't think that's going to fix it, so I just gave it a little spinny spin. Nothing at all happens when I press the button. And I'm tempted to go in here and look for continuity on the button. I think that's going to be the best alternative. So one moment while I get some stronger hands. These are grippy. All right, let's see what we got here. if we can, I'm assuming this is a unscrewable connector, and it seems like that's true. My thinking is to pull this apart and look for any water damage in here. And I find exactly none. So I doubt that's the problem, but we're going to, I don't think our assumption is going to be great there that this is a, where is this thing? That this is a one-to-one between the LEDs and the button. I highly doubt that because it's got it's a 4-pin connection here. I'm guessing there is a little bit of intelligence up in that board because they've got, the LEDs can cycle, they can be steady on, you have a button. It's possible that that's not the case, but it's unlikely, so I am just going to take the risk. Experience says it's not going to be that. I am going to take the risk and open this up. This is maybe a bad decision. If you think so, you can let me know in the commentaries. But I suspect there's a protocol between the button and the main unit. And I also suspect, I mean, I guess we could do that. Nothing like indecision. So let's try this out. Let's go ahead and take this further apart here and just see what we've got for that button board. If that's hermetically sealed, then we're not going to be able to get to it. But if it does pop out, then we can see what's going on with that. I suppose, the cost to diagnose is going to be a big deal if I went to build something to go in between the motor unit, which is over here, this thing, or the main unit, and this button part. So I don't think I want to do that. Yeah, that is hermetically sealed, isn't it? That is like glued into the top. So if water got in there, then we're in some element of trouble. I mean, I'd have to chip that out and figure that out. So, yeah, like I said, the lights go on, so it could be that just the button is not behaving, and, I guess it is weird. I'm thinking about how that might be built. If there was a fair amount of communications between the two, then you would expect the some error to be reported if things weren't working the way they're supposed to. I really would have expected that this stuff would have been through a transparent window in the top of this thing, like up in here somewhere, and this would just be one sealed unit. There'd be no connections to it. That's how I would have expected this to be built, but it's not. Well, I'm going to continue because this is a rubber gasket on here. I am going to continue the carnage. Pretend that I'm running this on fast video, but this is probably going to be a no edit video. So if you're interested, keep watching. 2 more to go. These are nuts on the top of these tiny impellers. Yeah. So let's see what we've got here. Now this may not be a gasket. It may be sealed shut. Now I'm a little more nervous about that. I thought they'd be a gasket, but it's just goop. So if I wanted to do something with that, I would have to clean it up and re-goop it with some kind of sealant. No. One motor makes a bunch of noise. I don't know if you can hear that. And another motor makes no noise at all. where to go next, right? That's the question. And nothing happens when I put these together. And give it the beans here. Let's give it the beans. So, is the switch broken? Or is something else broken? Well, let's do the fairly simple thing. Well, it should be fairly simple, but I don't know where my multimeter went. I'd love to blame it on the children, but I probably put it somewhere. All right, we're going to have to be right back. I went offline with the multimeter and did find that 2 and 3 together are the power button, and the power button works perfectly. So pressing the power button, I get instant continuity between pin 2 and 3. No question, it's reliable. So I think the next step is going to be to go into the meat of it here and see what we got, see what's going on with that. So unfortunately, looks like we'll be tearing into this silicone shut assembly here and see if something is wrong that we can get to in there. Just kind of pick away at it here. I'd rather not use a lot of tools in it if I don't have to. Just kind of work at the silicone adhesive. I was hoping it was an O-ring, but it's not. All right, we may have to help that along a bit. See here if we can break that a bit. Now, I don't know what else is. Maybe there are screws. I feel like I got the perimeter, but maybe there are screws down the flanking the pump shaft. So I feel like that's already off. Oh, nope, I am incorrect. It's coming more. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, we definitely have water. Ooh, that does have the smell I was hoping not to smell. Well, step 1 would be to remove the power. Silica gel. Oh boy. I give it credit, the battery seems to still be working. Let me go dump this out and I'll be right back. Let me go dump the water. And I do apologize for the dehumidifier that is on, making noise in the background. The battery, I did measure the battery and it is charged. It is charged with 12.5 of the direct current type volts. Oh boy. That came right off. This is just a mess. I mean, the whole connector and everything came right off. This thing is just a galvanic nightmare at this point. I can't imagine there's anything like parts for this, and the board is truly just a mess. I suspect this is an electrode to determine that it's in the water. Here. Yep, there's the other one. Okay, so those are our water sense electrodes. All right, and then we've got, this is the pair of connectors that come in from the outside world. So there's enough stuff up here going that's still running that's keeping the charge side alive. There's a beeper in it too. And I think it should, we should be able to pick that out. We have the red ones, which I presume is probably the, I don't know, power, is here on the right, and the white ones are on the left. This thing's never going to work again, but just in case, we'll try to do a good job of disassembly. Is there another screw? No. Is that because of some goopy glue? I think so. All right, so we'll get around that conductivity sensor and that one and just look at that board, huh? Oh, that's a mess. That's an unhappy day right there. I don't know what that connector, I think there may have been one there too. I don't think, maybe there were tachometers or something to watch the motor. Kind of want to get the board out of this case. This isn't, I'm going to be a little aggressive with that. Let's see what we can make happen. Yep, just, oh, terrible. Just tore the traces right off the board. That is supremely bad news. There's a capacitor that has died a death. I'm going to take a little brush to this and see what we can find. Well, I put this under the microscope a bit, and it looks like something that was discovered or retrieved from a shipwreck. I mean, obviously, this stuff up here is pretty okay, and I think it's still alive enough that it's telling the charge status what to do, but all the motor control, which I assume this is all motor control down here, is dead. The beeper is not in real good shape. I don't know if that's some power supply stuff right there. I just can't tell. I mean, there's nothing to be discerned from here. This is where I tore up that connector. Almost certainly some MOSFETs here. Possibly another one here. I assume there's some duplicative circuitry for the two motors right here. If I remember right, this was battery and charge plug were these two. So battery and charge plug are working. I think the micro is still alive. Let me get you back in camera here. I think the micro is still alive, which is amazing. There is a conformal coating on this whole thing, but it just was not enough for, I mean, look at that crisped up. I could dunk it in some vinegar and let that go at it for a while just for interesting sake. See what comes off. But this thing is roasty toasty. Be kind of curious to see, do I have leads here? Be kind of curious to see if the motors still work. Just Persica, why not? So let's see if we can grab a couple of clip leads. We can plug into a power supply here. The nominal voltage of the battery was 10.1, I think, but it's got 12 volts to it right now, and we're going to assume the motors were just run a little bit down rated, so we'll set this to 12, and we're not really going to worry about under current limitations here. So let's just see what happens if we give her the beans, as they say. We can make our own little pool robot controller. All right, here we go. Look at that. That mess still works. And how about this one? you know, if it wasn't soaking wet, now who knows where the water got in, and I have to presume it was around the motor shaft. I don't have any great reason for that other than it's just what I presume. And you know what? I'm making the video, so I get to presume all I want. Motor. Definitely has that burnt electronic smell. So, I don't know, this is a bit of a bad day for the, I can't remember what this piece of junk is called. What I do know, because I didn't get any background on this, what I do know is the circuit board says revision date 2022, and this is 2025, so assuming the designers of this thing hurried up and pooped it out the back door in 2022, that means it lasted 3 years. I don't know what it cost, but I am not going to call this a lifetime level appliance. So, on that. There's a screw here that goes nowhere. I wonder if that was some kind of, I don't know, evacuate the air out. I think that's dumb, but sheesh, I don't know. I wish it had a water sensor that would flash some lights or something to say something's wrong with this. I mean, what would the average homeowner do? Take it apart and fix it? No. So I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it just, the sensor is when it's dead, it's dead. But what a nightmare. What a disastrous nightmare of a circuit board. This should just pop right out of here, shouldn't it? I noticed these clippity doodles. I do not have a proper screwdriver on this bench, so let's improvise. Come on, tell me you've never done that. Improvise with a tool when you should get the right tool. Is that going to come out of there? I hope I don't damage the circuit board. Ah! Right. There it is. Oh, good. We can get to the back side of it. Ooh! I didn't notice that. A little heat damage. Bzz, 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 bzz. Yeah. Look at that. Melted a hole right in this. Don't want to. Look at that. You can see my teal note through it. Melted a hole right through there. So it looks like MOSFET man got all hot and sizzled some stuff up. That's what the battery will do. Well, it's a disappointment, but it's a video. I hope you enjoyed this 23 minutes of Nikki Does tearing something apart that has no hope of ever being recovered. We'll just chalk this one up as an interesting failure. Thanks for watching.